Hey guys. So this part, I'm not going to have so much of my own commentary on this part. I'm going to read through it as much as possible because it's basically self-explanatory. This was Jesus' crucifixion, death, burial. Yeah. So, Luke 23:26. As they led him away, they seized Simon from Cyrene, who was on his way from the country, and put the cross on him and made him carry it behind Jesus. A large number of people followed him, including women who mourned and wailed for him. Jesus turned and said to them, "Daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me. Weep for yourselves and your children. For the time will come when you will say, 'Blessed are the barren women, the wombs that never bore, and the breasts that never nursed.' Then they will say to the mountains, 'Fall on us,' and to the hills, 'Cover us.' For if men do these things when the tree is green, what will happen when it is dry?" 2 other men, both criminals, were also led out with him to be executed. When they came to the place called the Skull, there they crucified him, along with the criminals, one on his right, the other on his left. Jesus said, "Father, forgive them. They do not know what they're doing." And they divided up his clothes by casting lots. Basically, they played poker to win the stuff that he wore. The people stood and watched, and the rulers even sneered at him. They said, "He saved others. Let him save himself if he is the Christ of God, the chosen one." The soldiers also came up and mocked him. They offered him wine vinegar and said, "If you are the King of Jews, save yourself." There was a written notice above him which read, "This is the King of the Jews." One of the criminals who hung there hurled insults at him. "Aren't you the Christ? Save yourself and us." But the other criminal rebuked him. "Don't you fear God?" he said, "since you are under the same sentence? We are punished justly, for we are getting what our deeds deserve. But this man has done nothing wrong." Then he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." Jesus answered him, "I tell you the truth. Today you will be with me in paradise." It was now about the 6th hour, and darkness came over the whole land until the 9th hour. So for 3 hours, the sky was completely black. For the sun stopped shining, and the curtain of the temple was torn in two. Do you know how thick that temple curtain is? It is insane that ripped at all, let alone being torn in two. Jesus called out in a loud voice, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." When he had said this, he breathed his last. The centurion, seeing what had happened, praised God and said, "Surely this was a righteous man." When all the people who gathered to witness this saw what had took place, they beat their breasts and went away. They grieved. They felt bad. But all those who knew him, including the women who had followed him from Galilee, stood at a distance watching these things. Now there was a man named Joseph, a member of the council, a good and upright man, who had not consented to their decision and action. He came from the Judean town of Arimathea and was waiting for the kingdom of God. Going to Pilate, he asked for Jesus' body. Then he took it down, wrapped it in linen cloth, and placed it in a tomb cut out in rock, one which no one had yet been laid in. It was preparation day, and the Sabbath was about to begin. The women who had come with Jesus from Galilee followed Joseph and saw the tomb and how his body was laid in it. Then they went home and prepared spices and perfumes, but they rested on the Sabbath in obedience to the commandment. Wait a second. So they went home and prepared spices and perfumes, but they rested on the Sabbath. So they prepared the embalming stuff, but the next day they had to rest. So it was It was 36 hours before they could start embalming his body. So 2 nights. Crucified, Friday afternoon. First night in a tomb. Second night, rose from the grave. So on the third day, that's why he died when he died. Because he knew the next day would be the Sabbath. So by the time they actually got to embalming his body, he would already be gone. That's super clever, actually. Oh my gosh. Talk about God's timing, right? Not even rim shot, just God's timing.